basically from, when I was on the road to 7:30 in the morning when I got home, it was on replay in my head. And, just thinking about, I was trying to look for something that I would do different, and knowing everything in the moment, I wouldn't do anything different. And I guess if you want to be a better super speedway racer, you just need to go to New York City and try to navigate aggressively through the city, getting where you need to go.
And welcome everybody to Backstretch Banter. I'm John Roberts sitting in here on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90 this week. We got the guys from RFK with us, Mike Massaro and Ryan Preece. And guys, this is a fantastic time of year. I think a lot of people are looking at what's going on around the sport as we hit the playoffs. Mike, I know you guys are excited around there for this time of year. We sure would have liked to have had some representation. But man, Ryan, Mike, this thing is real difficult. There's just not much room at the end when it comes to the playoffs.
I can't speak for Ryan, but I can tell you that although we didn't make the playoffs, and certainly there is some disappointment surrounding that, we're still excited about what these next 10 races have for us. We've got momentum. We've had some really fast race cars. It showed at Daytona that we have speed. In prior races, it also showed that. So there's a lot to race for in these next 10 races, and I'm quite confident that each of these teams can get to victory lane.
Yeah, and to that point, all these guys that are in the playoffs, they're racing for their seasons, but so are we. We're not going out there and just like going to run 10th and be happy. We're going out there every week, and we have goals that we need to hit. We want to win races for us, for RFK, and for our partners. So, yeah, I think it was unfortunate that neither any of us didn't make the playoffs, but our season's not done.
No, lots to race for, lots of trophies still out there, and a lot of pride for sure.
And Ryan, also, though, the pride has to be within your team. You guys were kind of put together sort of at the last minute, but you're enjoying one of the better seasons of your racing career with some of the finishes you've had. You guys have to have a ton to build on right now. Yeah,
for sure. And, it's almost like we're the bad news bears, when it comes to, our team. And it's been a lot of fun to be a part of. So, I'm a big believer that the momentum that you end 2025 or your previous season with, you carry into the next season. So for us, as much as we want to try different things and kind of find, a path for winning out of, going outside the box, we still want to run consistent, be fast, and try to win. So that's the end goal. That way we can end 2025 as high as we can in points. That way going into 2026, we can go and start off on the right foot.
I feel like we need to follow up on the Bad News Bears thing. Do you have a specific character that you are in the Bad News Bears?
Whichever one you want me to be.
I think Kelly, like the motorcycle riding kind of punkish kid. That maybe that's you. Is that you possibly? I don't know.
I would. Yeah. Which one would? I mean. Are we talking like the new version of Bad News Bears, or are we talking like the old version?
Me and Mike are way back.
Yeah,
we're the way back machine.
Yeah,
and I guess, Mike, that makes me Walter Matthau, the ne'er-do-well coach.
You kind of look like him too, John. I will say that, yeah. Yeah, I'd go with that. I mean, we're going down a rabbit hole, but the Bad News Bears thing, I understand the analogy. This was a team that was put together, in the off-season. They've come together. They gelled almost instantly, but they weren't necessarily your classic combination, if you will, to begin with, but they've come together in a competitive way, and I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise, maybe not us internally, but outside this team. Perhaps some people have taken notice that weren't expecting the 60 team to run the way they have, but they've certainly run up front. They threatened for victories on several occasions this year, most recently this past week at Daytona, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that momentarily, but you were right there in the closing laps.
Yeah, Derek would be Billy Bob Thornton in the new version of Bad News Bears, just so you know. But Daytona, we were a threat, and it was I said in the media center that if somebody was going to win that race, they were going to have to go through an RFK car to do that, and they certainly didn't necessarily go through us, but they went around us.
Yeah, they did.
And I felt like we had control of that race. We really did. When we did that, it just when I made that move to go up in front of the 43, just simultaneously the 5 happened to harpoon the 43 and give him a really, really big nudge that got him out of shape. And that just put, basically 3 out of the 4 cars that were behind me were Hendrick cars. And, they needed to do what their organization needed to do, which was basically get rid of me.
Well, that's kind of what it seemed like. I bet you've gone back and watched that race over and over, at least the closing laps.
Yeah, so I drove my motorhome. I loaded it up as soon as I got back to my motorhome, right in the deal lot. Put the slides in, everything in around midnight, got on the road, and basically from, when I was on the road to 7:30 in the morning when I got home, it was on replay in my head. And, just thinking about, I was trying to look for something that I would do different, and knowing everything in the moment, I wouldn't do anything different.
There's not much you could have done.
No. So, people can Monday quarterback that all day long, right? Hey, why would you get rid of your teammate, or why would you move away from him? But sitting in the position that Chris and I were in, it was highly unlikely we would have ever got clear, both him and I, of the guys on the outside in that moment, as well as, I didn't want to get stuck behind the 7 and not have an opportunity to win. Mm-hmm. So that was the game time decision of, we need to put ourselves on the front row to take control and have an opportunity to win. Just, if those Hendrick cars could have been broken up somehow, I think maybe it could have played out different. But, as far as knowing what I knew in the moment and all that, I wouldn't change anything.
And Ryan, also, you kind of had that love-hate relationship, I believe, with Daytona. Some of the incidents that have happened to you, and it's really good to have you finish on 4 wheels instead of some other way at Daytona. But this is a treacherous racetrack, isn't it? And what a way to end the season when you just really don't know what might happen at a track like this.
Yeah. I mean, Daytona and I still hate each other, apparently. Yeah.
So no love.
Apparently, I mean, I did finish the race. It didn't wreck. So that was a positive. But, yeah, it's just, for whatever reason, this is a second super speedway we've been on the front row coming to the line and not wrecked, but just didn't get the finish that we deserved. So it was... It's challenging because there's only so many things that you can control in our position racing on a super speedway, and I felt like we did that. So, yeah, Daytona, looking forward to seeing you in February, but hopefully we can make it a good one.
Well, Talladega's ahead still on the schedule, which is similar.
Oh, yeah.
So one would expect that you'll have a fast race car there and be perhaps in the same situation. What would you I mean, you said you couldn't find anything you would do different, but are you looking forward to Talladega because of what just transpired in Daytona?
Yeah, I definitely am. I think that it is definitely super speedways are really strong for us right now, and one that I think is something that, when we show up, it's like I said in the media center. We've done a really good job as an organization to execute these races and put ourselves in position, and Chris and Brad have won them. So I feel like we don't just happen to luck into being up front. We have fast race cars, and we execute pit stops, and we do all the things that we need to do right.
There's no question.
So right. It was years ago, 04, I guess, when, they announced the chase at the time. And I think one of the really good things, Ryan, about the playoff system in NASCAR, if you're in one of the stick and ball sports and you don't make the playoffs, you go home. You're watching on the couch. But what NASCAR said to the criticism that some of the drivers and teams had said, look, man, if we don't, at the time, top 10, if we don't make the playoffs, if we're not one of the chase drivers, I mean, are we just chopped meat out here? Are we nothing? But then they said, hey, go win a race, and everybody's going to be talking about you. We saw Joe Nemechek do it the first year at Kansas, and the focus was on him. So I would imagine, Ryan, that that's one of you guys' goals, because the focus might be on the championship 16 or 12 or whatever we're dealing with. But if you guys go out there and get that win, which you're certainly knocking on the door of, we're going to be talking about you and your team, not necessarily just the playoff guys.
Yeah, I think that's the challenging part about the format. It can make you feel a certain way, like you had an unsuccessful season, right? And, I would say it was unsuccessful because we didn't make the playoffs, but we had a really good year. And that's the challenge of it all. So the only other thing that I want to accomplish outside of not making the playoffs is winning right now. And I feel like we've been really close to doing that. And I feel like in the next 10 races, there is multiple opportunities that we can show up and do. So, yeah, I mean, that's a challenge on how you grade yourself, right? And I think we as a company and we as a team, an individual team, you got to be careful on how you grade yourself based off the playoffs, because we've done a really good job for a first year team going out, executing, and being in the battle in the thick of things, and we can go out and win, and kind of be the spoiler.
I agree. I mean, they've shown the ability to be fast at various types of racetracks, and there's still a variety of racetracks ahead of us. So I think that the 60 team isn't alone. I think the 17 and the 6 also had the same potential.
Yeah, and this organization too, Mike, Ryan, you're seeing it firsthand. It just goes to show that there was a time, when you just had those 10 drivers making the playoffs, that Roush Fenway at the time had 5 of the 10 cars. They had a 50% opportunity to win that race. But I think it just goes to show you, when you have the caliber of people and the ownership and the leadership of RFK now, that still isn't a guarantee that you're going to go out there and have these things go in such ebbs and flows. And man, the competition level these days is just so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, if it was easy, anybody could do it, right? And I think that's what I'll say is going from the kid who used to, root for Roush and Mark Martin and what the powerhouse Roush was, to a little bit of a tough time that it went through, to where it is now, and it's building a solid foundation to be able to sustain strong runs and fast race cars and all those things. It's not, it's not like, well, they had a great year, but we haven't seen them in 2 years. It's, Chris won Bristol a few years back, the first year of the next gen, and then him and Brad both, over the course of the next 2 years had success. And, I want to be a part of the era that RFK is now, to where they become a real powerhouse again. And, I feel like we're building towards that, with great partners like Kroger and all the different, fun brands that they bring along with that, and as well as Consumer Cellular, Fifth Third, Fastenal, and the many other partners that we have. I feel like we are working towards not only winning on the racetrack, but winning off the racetrack, the social media, and everything that we have to offer here.
It's funny, winning off the racetrack. One thing, John, that I've noticed about Ryan this year, and I've seen it progress steadily since February, the line at the merchandise hauler where he does autograph sessions, and by the way, he does autograph sessions every week. That line has progressively gotten longer and longer and longer. So people are noticing that Ryan is becoming more and more competitive. He is definitely getting their attention. He's winning them over with his personality. His fan base is growing. Have you noticed the same thing? Has your life changed at all? Have you noticed a difference in the way you're being received by the fans?
Well, I think it's It's tough to, yeah, I guess, because now we're running consistent, right? And you're running well, and that's anything. People are going to cheer you on when you run well, and that helps a lot. But I think for the fans that have been there the entire time, they're just like, see, we told you, in that regard. So that's nice. But yeah, no, when we were at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago, and I felt terrible because the line was so long, we weren't able to get through it in the amount of time that, we had in that moment. So, it's nice. It's nice, running well and being competitive and having fast race cars and being able to do what I felt like I always could.
I think it's the personality.
Ryan, how big of a compliment has it been for you over the years here? I know it just takes so much to get everything to come together for a driver to be really successful. I think there's been drivers that have been in situations before that we thought were going to really, make dividends. But it takes a while, doesn't it? But along the way, to have guys the likes of Stuart Haas, RFK, these people believe in you and your ability as a driver to get these opportunities. That in and of itself is a pretty big compliment for a driver, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, when Brad called me and really was the start of a lot of the conversations for me to come over here, that was a huge opportunity. And honestly, without key moments like that, you think back to any driver. They all have those moments where, it was either this or I was going home or I was living on someone's couch or whatnot. We all need a break at some point in time. And I wasn't sure where mine was going to come, when SHR announced that they were going to be shutting down. But boy, I can tell you I'm grateful every day that I got this opportunity and ultimately have the team that I have right now, because it's been fun. And it's been fun to be Ryan Preece, the race car driver, and just wearing that hat instead of trying to wear all the different hats I was trying to wear.
Were there times where you didn't think this opportunity might arise?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, I'll tell you what, 2024 was an extremely stressful year. A year of, it seemed like things were going to come together and then, possibly not. And I remember in August, I was looking for places in Connecticut. I was trying to figure out, what I was going to do with my life next and how I was going to be moving back home and not accomplishing the things that I felt like I could and, uproot my family back there. And, I'm glad every day that everything worked out and thankful for the opportunities to come together, thankful for RFK, thankful for BAM Marketing and, with Kroger and all the things that they have and Mohawk Northeast, which is a huge supporter of mine from Connecticut. So it takes a lot of things, to make these cars go around. And I'm just I'm glad to have the season we're having outside of not making the playoffs. But it's been fun.
Fun, but I can tell by various comments you've made over the past couple of months that you're still not quite satisfied. You still you have a burning desire to get to victory lane. I've heard you say comments like it's good to be racing again, things like that.
Well, I think that's the people will never really understand this, but as a racer, when you're out there driving your absolute ass off and you hear leaders are coming and this is stage one, that's not fun. Because you're doing everything you can as a race car driver to make speed, but you just don't have the speed. It doesn't have the speed the leader has, but you are working harder than you are as if you are running 9th or 10th sometimes. And, now I can focus on trying to catch the leader or what can I do to run top 5 or top 3 or win. And, I often say this now, but years ago, a guy named Brandon Ernest who used to build my modified shocks, and he still builds all my shocks today for whether it's my modified super late model or whatever I'm running. He looked at me one time and he said, "You know what I like about you?" I said, "What?" He said, "You hate losing more than you love winning, and that's what drives you to succeed." And I live by that. I don't care how long it's going to take me to get the job done. I'm going to do it. And that's just who I am.
John,
all right, guys, we got to grab us a quick break here on the program here. Backstretch Banter here with Ryan Preece, Mike Massaro. I'm John Roberts. We'll grab a break. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Backstretch Banter, everybody. Talking to RFK Racing's Ryan Preece as well as Mike Massaro. I'm John Roberts sitting in this week, and what an opportunity to talk to you guys. First of all, Ryan, I've known you for a while, and I hate to admit how far back me and Mike go in the world of covering NASCAR. But one of the things, though, is each weekend at these racetracks, we see so many different things with paint schemes and things that drivers are doing to honor different people or recognize different things in their lives. You had a very special helmet at Daytona. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so for me, since we played off the whole astronaut thing with how I've gone airborne at Daytona twice now, 2 out of the last 4 times, we felt like it was a good opportunity to really get my helmet prepared for taking flight in case that were to happen again. So we chose to do it like Maverick from Top Gun. And I thought it came out really cool, thanks to Greg from Off Axis for making that look as great as it did. And, I guess I was ready to take flight if that were to happen.
I saw the in-car camera focusing on Ryan's face when he was sawing on the wheel there in the closing laps. It did look like a scene out of Top Gun. I mean, definitely the helmet was perfect. It really was.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know what? I'm going to have to go look back at that clip because for whatever reason, inside that race car with where the steering wheel is, where I run it and I feel comfortable, it looks like I am hunched over that thing. It just looks uncomfortable, but I'm comfortable in it.
It was cool. The camera was so good, it could see your eyes. And you could see, you shift your eye to not use your peripheral vision, but you could tell when the inside lane was forming, your eyes were twitching. As you're navigating that traffic 3 wide, right? How do you comprehend everything that's going on around you? I know you've got Brandon in your ear, your spotter, but at the same time, you're trying to take it all in. You're trying to navigate that traffic, trying to find the fast lane, trying to stay square on the bumper of the guy in front of you. I mean, how do you just manage all that information behind the wheel at 200 miles per hour?
Well, growing up in the Northeast, anybody that's driven in New York City will understand that driving at Daytona...
You can't drive faster than 10 miles an hour in New York City anymore.
Well, that's basically what you're doing, but at 190. Is you are just trying to manage lanes and deal with traffic and work your way through. And I guess if you want to be a better super speedway racer, you just need to go to New York City and try to navigate aggressively through the city, getting where you need to go. So maybe we'll have to make that like a off-season project. Maybe we can bring some cameras and have a little fun where I'm driving people around trying to get them to their destination. But that's kind of what it is you are just... You're looking left, you're looking right, you're trying to gauge the energy of what we call the energy of the pack and figure out what lane's going to go, what lane's not, and, that's an important piece.
Yeah, and it looked like you were doing you were very focused, I should say, on that very piece.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I like what some people have called that speedway racing over the years. Dale Jr. called it a bar fight on 4 wheels, and we've heard people talk about it being a chess match on those things. Ryan, I think it's not only the ability to drive that race car physically, but the mental toll on a super speedway race with what can happen and at any given time. How difficult is that, not just physically, but mentally, to be in that pack, knowing what can potentially happen?
Well, I can tell you it doesn't feel good when you do, Rex, so that does cross your mind. Like on the last lap when we were top of 3 trying to get back to the front or make ground, all I thought about was, boy, if these guys decide to wreck right here, it's going to suck because there's nowhere for me to go. I mean, when you're in the top lane, you have 0% chance of making it through without damage. And, on that final lap, it was just kind of like, well, if I don't go here, I'm going to be stuck, and then we're going to finish like shit. So, that's kind of what we had to do. But, yeah, there is so many pieces to executing a good super speedway, and one of those pieces is having a little luck.
John, you were talking about the way that racing has been described. Well, a good friend of ours, Alan Bestwick, used to call it the politics of the draft. the politics of the drive. Did you feel like there was any politicking going on this past weekend?
Are you trying to set that up there, Mike?
Oh, yeah. I'm just asking a question. That's all.
Yeah, that was yeah. So the fun thing about our, all the different apps we have now is we have HBO Max. And HBO Max, you can go back onto every single driver's on-car cams, and you can listen to the audio. And boy, did I wish I knew what they were planning with 4 to go or 3 to go. They were organizing basically 4 rows back between the 5, the 9, and the 24. Power and numbers. And unfortunately, I did not have power and numbers on the top lane, and you saw it. There's things that you wish you could go back and know that are coming, but I feel like if I blocked that run, they just would have went low and it wouldn't have mattered. So, yeah.
I guess we have to go back and watch HBO Max to hear what Ryan heard.
Yeah, sounds great to me.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Yeah, so that last lap obviously didn't turn out the way anybody at RFK really would have liked to seen it happen, and certainly not you. But we move ahead, right? We move ahead now to Darlington. So we're on to Darlington, as they say, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know what? You guys have heard this song, Turn the Page?
Yes.
Of course. Great song, right?
Yeah.
I had that on repeat for a little while on the way home because, that's exactly what it is. Time to turn the page and move on to next week. And, the classic saying of what Ted Krister used to say was the clock resets at midnight. And that's kind of what I've lived by as well is, it was frustrating. Yeah. But I was over it Sunday and I was ready, already thinking about Darlington and the speed we had there earlier this year, which makes me excited about heading there, this weekend.
It's funny you bring up Ted Christopher when you mentioned earlier that the story about you hating losing more than wanting to win. All I could think of was Ted Christopher. I mean, that was his mantra.
Yeah, I feel like that's just that Connecticut in me. We're really aggressive by nature up there. And one of those things is, hating losing so much that you refuse to lose. You don't take no for an answer. And, for me, that's just kind of where I'm at. And we got 10 races to go out, and this weekend's Darlington, so all eyes are forward to that.
So I think a lot of times, guys, when we look at the schedule and opposed to other major league sports, every time you go to the football game, it's 100 yards between the end zones. And in the baseball games, it's 90 feet to first base. But, man, Ryan, you guys have this diversity of a schedule where you go from just a completely different beast of Daytona to Darlington. I know it keeps you guys on your toes, but how difficult is that, or is it difficult? Is it welcome to switch from track to track, sometimes going from huge to small track, and just having that different challenge that NASCAR throws at you every week?
Well, yeah, I think when you approach each weekend, every racetrack has its own characteristics, right? Daytona is a chess match, much like you guys alluded to. It is a game of trying to make sure that you are in the right place for those final closing laps, and then using the energy you pack to win. Darlington, tire management, completely different. It's not about how fast your car is at times. It's about how your car drives over the course of a run, and that's extremely important. So yeah, definitely a different focus going into this weekend.
So that track, I mean, obviously it has a reputation, a little bit different than Daytona, but it's a tough track. It's a really difficult track. What is it? What's necessary to be successful at that place?
Well, number one would be don't hit the wall and screw up a toe link. So that's pretty important. Number two would be keep your tires on it without burning them off. And number three is track position. So hopefully we can do all three of those and execute them, and I think we'll be pretty solid.
Not hitting the wall, John. I remember when there was a time, and it still may exist, where hitting the wall was almost prerequisite at Darlington.
Yep.
The Darlington
it was the
strike,
way to go, right?
So yeah, it was the fact. People, I remember going back way before the next gen car. people would put reinforcements on the quarter panel because they knew they were going to hit the wall, coming off the corner. So they put reinforcements. I think these people put not plywood, but like 2x4s or something in underneath the quarter panel there to reinforce it. It was the thing. I mean, if you didn't have the Darlington stripe, you weren't trying to go fast, I guess. You weren't getting up there in the corner as hard as you needed to, but that's not really the case anymore.
No, we've probably gotten beyond the 2x4s, the little tee that Ned Jarrett said they made to keep you over there. But guys, got to grab a quick break right now. When we come back to Backstretch Banter, though, we're going to continue with our air and space motif. So we'll be back in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back to RFK Backstretch Banter. I'm John Roberts with Mike Massaro, Ryan Preece. So Ryan, we talked earlier about the air and space motif because of your previous experience at Daytona and taking orbit. But when you guys have an opportunity to do something as race car drivers, I think you guys get a lot of fun stuff thrown your way. You spent a little time at the Air and Space Museum this past week, didn't you?
Yes, I did. And boy, did I feel like I was at home. Staring up at that space shuttle, staring up at the astronaut's suit, and it just made me want to grab it and put it on. But it was really neat. It was honestly it really put me in awe, to be honest with you, when we walked in there and I was looking at it and how big this place was, and then to see a space shuttle right there in front of your eyes and how big it really is and how they launched that thing out of planet Earth is extremely impressive.
Yeah, I just saw there was some irony, right? Ryan having fun with his Twitter page and his outfit, the astronaut outfit. Of course, we talked about the Maverick helmet. Just ironic that our keynote speaker there, this was part of our partner summit, our keynote speaker was an actual astronaut. So he one-upped you. I mean, we had an actual astronaut.
Yeah, and he's actually Greg Zipadelli's, what is it, brother-in-law
It's Greg Zipadelli's wife's cousin.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, that's unreal. And honestly, it was really impressive listening to him talk about, all the things that they do to train, as well as when they're coming in, from outer space to, back to Earth. And it was just, it was really impressive and definitely puts into perspective, the things that we're doing and then all the things that they're doing and how unbelievable it is. So that was fun to be able to be there, be a part of it, joke around about the astronaut stuff that we have. Maybe next year, depending on who we have on the car, maybe we can, make my fire suit look like a space suit. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's a great idea.
I think it would be.
Well, we had a guy dressed as Ronald McDonald this past weekend, so why can't we do that?
Sure. Jokingly,
not us, but the sport did.
I did run up behind Tyler Reddick and take a picture with him without him knowing, like kind of caught him off guard. And I wanted to tweet it and say, gonna tell my kids this is the real Ronald McDonald.
Oh,
we've seen a cowboy, and we've seen Colonel Sanders, and we've seen a lot of different schemes over the years. Well, why not astronaut? I see no reason why not. But Ryan, we know no sponsors, no racing, and the relationship with your sponsors are so important. And one of the ways you guys do it is with these cool paint schemes that we see week in and week out. What do you got coming up along those lines in terms of who's representing you on your race car?
Yeah, I mean, even this past weekend, having Entenmann's Little Bites as well as Capri Sun on it, I think my daughter was she didn't even know how excited she was going to be. But boy, when we showed up to Daytona and we had Capri Suns, we had Little Bites everywhere. And she was like, do we have to leave? Like, this is amazing. And then, on top of that, my wife told me that when she was over at the Kroger, the Kroger suite that they had there and how much fun Rebecca was having and all the different foods she was enjoying there. When you have sponsors like that really you can have fun with your family with, that's what I enjoyed. But, this week we have Trimble back in the car for Daytona, and, it's terrible. I live week to week, but I do know for a fact that I'm going to have Mohawk Northeast on the car at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, so I'm kind of pumped about that. That's one of my favorite paint schemes.
Yeah, because they're from that area, right?
They are from that area.
And you've had quite some success at New Hampshire over the years in the modified. So, there's some synergy there, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? My favorite little bites is actually the birthday cake ones that we had on the car this past weekend. So make sure you go on over to your local Kroger and go get some.
I like, Mike, I like to go with the Denny Hamlin thing on that. You know how he goes, which is your favorite? All of them.
Yeah.
All the little bites are mine. I'm going to go with all of them.
Yeah,
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. There's some irony, though. Derek Finley, crew chief for Ryan, has repeatedly used kind of a pep talk over the course of the season, saying, just going to take little bites, like bites of the elephant. Like, how do you eat an elephant? Little bites. So I just saw some irony in the partnership we had this past weekend.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Derek's full of a lot of one-liners. And before the race this past weekend, he was talking about, hey, you're going to drive free. We're going to play free. I'm going to call the race free. And instantly I just said, so should we, if we had a theme song for this race or it was playing inside the car, would it be Freebird? Like, so, Derek is full of a lot of good ones.
Which keeps everybody loose on the race team. And I think that has certainly proven to be a positive thing for everybody involved.
And also, Ryan, you guys have a grind of a season. It's the longest season in professional sports. And I know people like to have fun. And the bottom line, when it comes to being at the racetrack, you guys are as serious as can be and are serious with your craft. But if you don't have a little levity, if you don't have a little fun along the way, this season can tear you up and spit you out, can it?
Oh, it can grind on you. I think that's just the difference, though, with racing. For what you grow up doing, it wasn't necessarily about the length. It was the fact that, hey, winter's over and we're going to race until it gets cold. It wasn't that, hey, I'm just going to, I'm going to race for 3 or 4 months and then we're done. It was, hey, we can't race because it's winter and it's impossible to go on the racetrack. And then as soon as snow would be stopped or it gets warm enough, you'd start racing. And your seasons would pretty much conclude because it got too cold or there was snow. So, I don't know. I've never looked at racing as, it's only from this time to this time. And I think, that's why our schedule is the way it is because, we can go anywhere in the country and race. Mm-hmm. And that's why our season is as long as it is.
Well, since you brought up the schedule, what do you think of the schedule? It came out for 2026.
I mean, it's fine with me. I don't really have a racetrack I don't like. So yeah, I don't. I don't know. Everything about it for me is fine.
Okay, that's generally the consensus I've gotten from the racers involved. It doesn't matter where the race is; they're going to bring their helmet, their gloves, their suit, and they're going to go after it.
I think for us as racers, we just want to see a lot of people in the stands, and making sure that our sport is servicing the parts of the country that want to be there, and I think that's an important piece. So, whether, I'm biased, I'm from the Northeast, so there's a lot of race fans up there. We need to make sure that we keep going there and as well as, the Southeast or the Midwest, it's important to make sure that we continue to service those markets.
All around the country.
All around the country.
Every part of the country, certainly the West Coast as well. So we'll see that next year with an additional West Coast race in San Diego. That should be a lot of fun, I think, for everybody involved. But the schedule has changed, as we've alluded to. The All-Star race being in Dover, Dover not having a points race. That's interesting. A lot of people have mixed emotions on that, but it doesn't seem like you do.
I mean, I just don't understand the whole picture yet. I if I'm a fan from Dover, or somewhere in Pennsylvania and all that, I think you're kind of wondering why. But I don't know the picture as far as, what are we going to do as a sport to make it entertaining? Are we going to do something different? Are we going to have different tires? Are we going to have different horsepower? Are we going to have push to pass? I don't know. I think there's a lot of creative ways that NASCAR could go about the All-Star race next year. And, I'm really eager and excited to see what they choose to do and how they choose to go about it.
Push to
pass.
All
right, so folks, there's a lot of other hot topics going on in the world of NASCAR right now. We'll hit some of those when we come back to Backstretch Banter. We'll take a quick break right now and be back in just a moment. All right, welcome back, everybody, to Backstretch Banter here from RFK. We got Ryan Preece and Mike Massaro. Ryan, when you talk to guys and drivers about the way we determine champions in NASCAR's 3 Top Series, you get a lot of mixed emotions. A couple drivers we talked to last week said, look, we don't care how it's done. We're not here to decide how a championship is decided. We're just here to compete. We're competitors, not visionaries. Well, what's your take, Ryan, as a driver? I know that this is clearly, I think, one of the most difficult things to do in all of sports is to win a Cup championship nowadays, the way it's set up. Don't want to take anything away from the champions of the past, but this is a fairly somewhat complex circumstances that you got to make the playoffs and stay alive. What is your take on that? Do you have emotions one way or another about how the champion is crowned?
I think at the end of the day, we all know, what we need to do in order for it to play out and for you to be a champion. Like, everybody is playing by the same set of rules. So if you win a race in the current format, but you're 30th in points or 35th in points or 28th in points or whatever, that changes your entire season. You will not finish worse than 16th. When you go back in 5 years from now, you're going to think, man, they had a pretty good season. They finished 16th. But you very well, in the current format, if you, let's just say, a lot of hypothetical here, but if you go into the season and you just have a terrible season, but then Daytona, you win. Okay, now you've advanced. Let's say then you go to Darlington, Bristol, or, New Hampshire, or one of the races that we're talking about, and you just win one of them but wreck in the other 2. And then you go into each round and you just happen to either point your way through or win one of those rounds. And let's just say you had 4 good races out of 36 races, and you're a champion. Like, to me, that kind of doesn't really reward what I think is what you're trying to do. Now, I think you have to have a lot of luck for those things to happen, but in the system we're in, that can happen. So for me, I think I would like to see the regular season. You'd have to have a little bit more consistency or a little bit more merit to putting together a solid however many races that get you into that round of 10. And then from there, it's about execution. I just think it's a little backwards right now because for me, you could have a terrible regular season, win one race, but then go and execute the 10 races or whatever each round, and you can keep advancing and finish top 8 in points or whatever it is. So it's just a little backwards for me, but, at the same time, I understand the game. If we went out and we won, we'd be in it, and then we can go execute. So we got to figure out ways to be able to do that. So next year, I don't have to have this conversation of, man, what could we have done different? But that to me is what comes to mind.
So you mentioned in the last segment, it just kind of alluded to it, the push to pass thing. That's kind of an out there kind of idea. I mean, it's in another series, but it's definitely a creative idea. How about a creative idea for the championship? Have you thought of anything in terms of what might be possible for a championship crowning format? No? You haven't given it any thought? Not once?
Not once. I'll be honest with you. I haven't been there, so unfortunately I haven't.
So I don't doubt that. I know Ryan pretty well. He is pretty focused on one thing, and that's the next race, and that's pretty much what he focuses his thoughts on. So I was just trying to bring you there, trying to evoke some of your creativity, but I couldn't get there. But his thoughts, obviously, John, are on Darlington.
Yep, and that's the next race. That's the one that's out there. You know, Mike asked you earlier, Ryan, about you personally as you rise up through the ranks of drivers. But I think this past season, we've seen some pretty positive things. Of course, there's peaks and valleys throughout a season that's this long in terms of the people that are going to racetracks, the numbers of pairs of eyes that are on TVs. But this season, you look back at the earliest Daytona sellout ever. The packed houses we've seen, some of the race finishes we've seen, and it just seems to me like the few races that we've been able to get out to, that there's a little bit more electricity in the air right now. There's a little bit more of a groundswell of support in terms of the people that are getting excited about NASCAR. You're one of the faces that's out there. Your name and your face is directly accounted to this. What are you seeing, Ryan? Are you seeing some excitement amongst fans about the sport in general?
Oh, absolutely. You know, and NASCAR's done a phenomenal job, I think, helping, you know, the teams or the drivers kind of go take promoting to another level. You know, for me, I feel like I don't know, we kind of went through a period of where there was a lost art in promotion. And I feel like we have certainly stepped it up in that regard right now. And, you know, seeing all the different drivers going out and doing things that they used to do. And, you know, I think NASCAR, you know, taking a big initiative in, you know, the promotion side. You know, so I feel like, you know, between the collaboration of NASCAR and the teams and the drivers, you know, we've just elevated that, and it's shown at the racetracks. I feel like, you know, the majority of the racetracks that we have gone to this year have had great turnouts. And, you know, when you look up in the grandstands and you see it packed, that's something you're excited to see as a race car driver.
Yeah, we saw it at Richmond, sell out there. Daytona, always packed. So, yeah, big crowds. It's funny that and John, I'm sure your thoughts went here, too, as soon as Ryan said the lost art of promotion. All I could think about was Humpy Wheeler.
Oh, man, yes.
And, you know, a great loss for the sport, a pioneer. He basically developed the blueprint for promoting a race. And so I would certainly encourage promoters out there to look at that blueprint, because pretty amazing what he had accomplished during his time.
Yeah, Humpy was one of a kind, man, and his impact on the sport will continue for many years from now. I think, Ryan, bottom line, though, for a race car driver, how much fun are you having right now being involved with this team and the successes you're having? How much fun is it?
A lot of fun. A lot of fun in all regards, not only on the track, but off the track. You know, I feel like, you know, I'm glad I came into the organization I did, and the opportunity came my way, because we've had a lot of opportunities to do different things when it comes to social media or activations or whatever it may be, that I feel like, you know, people enjoy. So that's important.
All right, so looking forward once again, Ryan, what do you think about this next stretch? Is the goal and the mindset for you guys to go out there and get that win? And well, obviously you guys go every weekend to win, but how big would that be for your team to upset that apple cart, to show the playoff people that you guys are still around and still trying to win one of these things?
No, I think we can, and it all starts. This next 10 races is kind of like you know, we're here. We're not going to go away. We're not just going to kind of, you know, be one of the guys in the pack. We're gonna show up. We're gonna have to fight, you know, for wins. And the guys that are racing for a championship, you're gonna respect those moments. But I got a lot I got to accomplish for my team too. So they're the ones who signed the checks. So yeah, I got to make sure that we're going out and executing.
Well, what is it like racing in and around those guys that you know are racing for a championship?
It's a delicate balance. It's definitely a delicate balance, but it's what we have to do. This is the format and the things that you know, this is what it's part of the system. You know, it's not just those 16 guys. There's 36 of us out there.
How about when it comes down to just 4 guys running for the championship? Is it different for you not being one of them? Do you give them extra space?
I think we'll have to see in that situation. But yeah, you know, it was definitely fun, you know, talking with you guys today. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Mike. It's great to be a part of this thing. I appreciate you guys having me along for the ride here on Backstretch Banter. And thanks to RFK and everybody involved for the program. Good luck, Ryan. Great to see you, Mike. And we'll see everybody this weekend.